Link TV, connecting you to the world. Link TV is viewer supported. Watch more at linktv.org.
The comparison between what's going on in the Muslim world and what's going on in North America and Europe when it comes to these things, it's interesting, but I think there's still a great gulf there. When you talk about freedom of religion, which in the First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution is paired with freedom of speech and freedom of the press, in many places you can't publicly profess a faith other than Islam. In many places, if you were to speak favorably of another religion, that would be, in a public way, that would be very much frowned upon. You can't even legally worship, even indoors, even in private, in some countries, in a manner other than the Islamic manner.
Well, that's not true. You can legally worship however you want in private. There are countries, you're absolutely right, in which there are public pronouncements against the public worship of other religions. But the thing that's fascinating is that in those countries, the populations themselves disagree with those laws. Those are governmental ordinances, and they are part and parcel of the problem that we've been talking about all along, which is that the desire for Islamic law, the desire for a greater role of religion in society that we see in so many countries in that region cannot be separated from the desire to take the idea of law and order out of the hands of a despotic government and put it into the hands of the people. So these countries that you refer to, for instance, Saudi Arabia, again, that we come to, that do prohibit public displays of other religions and certainly prohibit the missionizing of other religions. These are, again, part of the package of government control, which, as poll after poll has shown, is something that populations want to get rid of.
And Ray, I would just add that you're absolutely right. In some places this is the case, but I would make a very strong point that this is actually the exception. So while in Saudi Arabia public worship of anything other than Islam is prohibited by law, this is just simply not the case in most places. In Egypt, for example, it's
really anywhere else.
I don't know of another country where that's the case. But in Egypt, we find some of the oldest Christian communities in the world are in the heart of, in fact, the Muslim world. Some of the oldest churches in Syria, in Iraq. These countries have always had thriving Christian minorities. Does that mean there is no discrimination? Of course there is, just as there is discrimination against minority groups all over the world. But to say that they're prohibited from publicly practicing their faith is not true. But what's, I think, even more important than that is public sentiment around freedom of religion. And what we do find is that majorities do support freedom of religion, at the same time saying that they want Sharia, and don't necessarily see a contradiction between the two.
Link TV is the only U.S. network dedicated to global and national news, uncompromising documentaries, and diverse cultural programs. Programs which connect you to the world. To learn more, visit linktv.org.